Hello everyone, I'm Baffled by Reality, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Here we will be reviewing and debunking conspiracy theories and outlandish claims using science and practical knowledge. The animation is pretty poor, but I'm looking forward to improving over time, hopefully. Anyway, today we're debunking a video by Phuket Word, link in the description below. I chose this particular video because it came out pretty recently. Let's go ahead and get started.
Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters, and debunkers. The physics and mechanics of flying appears to be demonstrable proof that we navigate and fly on or above a level and most likely stationary Earth. There doesn't seem to be anything that would indicate flying is done around a spherical Earth.
So we start off with some pretty strong claims. Nothing to indicate flying is done on a spherical Earth. Now he's going to attempt to prove this using two things, both of which he either misunderstands or is purposefully misleading about. Based on how easy this was to research, I'm going to lean towards the latter. But let's go ahead and play some more of the video.
Now, even when you ask pilots how they can prove this, all we have is an explanation that goes against what we would usually determine as level. And the way I see it, what is also determined as level from a mechanical and scientific physical standpoint of the level indicated in the flight level indicator that we can see here, which is what a pilot would see in the cockpit with an artificial horizon. And these, of course, have gyroscopes inside them, as you can see here on this cutaway diagram on the right. It's a very, very simple piece of equipment that basically relies on the physics of gyroscopes in order to maintain an indication of level. So the pilot always has a reference for level and then can determine what the attitude of the aircraft is, whether it's pitched up or down from level.
Gyroscopes, baby! Or to be slightly more accurate, the attitude indicator of a plane. Now the image he has here is a classic depiction of an attitude indicator. It's showing the major parts, and his description of a gyroscope is not incorrect. He spends a little more time describing gyroscopes, so we'll go ahead and do that ourselves. A gyroscope is a device used for measuring or maintaining orientation and angular velocity. It's a spinning disc in which the axis of rotation is free to assume any orientation by itself. So as you can see here, we have our disc, which is free to spin, then a few gimbals to support it, and allow it to rotate about. Once the disc is spinning, it will maintain its orientation, even if you move the mounting about. When you get it up and spinning while horizontal, then angle the housing, the disc remains horizontal. Pretty simple, right? Now you actually can change the orientation of the gyroscope by manipulating the gimbals, or even the disc directly, but you will experience some resistance. There's a bunch of videos and resources that go into more details and the physics of why this happens, but we're not going to get that deep into it. But let's go ahead and watch a little bit further here.
But the argument often heard from globe Earth defenders and even pilots is that this direction of down for the gyroscope is determined by gravity, and that the aircraft follows this curve around the spherical Earth but maintains this indication of level on the flight level indicator because the downward direction of the gyroscope is always towards the center of the spherical Earth. But that's a direct contradiction with the real physics of the axis of spin remaining fixed in space. You see, you can't have this argument that the gyroscope remains fixed, regardless of whether there is any precession, which could be just a natural occurrence of a spinning gyro, not necessarily any assumed rotation of the Earth.
And here's where it all comes together. He's stating that there are two contradictory claims, the first being the physics of gyroscopes, being that they maintain their axis of spin, and the second, that globe earthers state that the gravity of the Earth pulls the gyro down, and that this is why the attitude indicators on planes function on a ball Earth and don't show curvature. And so then, which of these statements is true? Well, the first one, obviously. The second claim is just a strawman argument that people just don't make. But if the first statement is true, and gravity isn't pulling a gyroscope down, how does it work on a globe Earth? Well, because these instruments are built to correct for the rotation of the Earth. They do take gravity into account. But it's not by pulling the gyro down. Take a look at this attitude indicator. As you've probably guessed, the actual instrument does include more than just a simple gyroscope. This particular model is air-driven, rotating typically between 10 and 15,000 times a minute. At the bottom, you can see the pendulous vanes. These are openings at the base of the structure that direct airflow. The pendulous units are free to swing side to side, causing more or less air to flow through that particular vane. And they're affected by gravity. As this housing rotates, the vanes maintain pointing at the ground. As the airflow is changed due to some vanes becoming more open or closed, this force is applied to the structure, causing the gyroscope to tilt. In this manner, the attitude indicator corrects for the rotation of the Earth. And there are other mechanisms that do the same thing, and finding this information takes less than a minute of Googling. It's really weird he didn't bring it up. So a good experiment would be to have two gyroscopes, one with a correction mechanism and one without. If you spin them both up at the same level, you would see the one without a correction mechanism precessing over time, while the other appears to remain level. You don't even need to be in a plane. Instead, he follows this flawed gyroscope discussion with possibly the dumbest experiment possible, using a spirit level on a phone app.
I've done this experiment myself, traveling between Phuket, just above the equator, to the UK, stopping off in Dubai. We can have a look at that experiment now, and it just demonstrates that you I put the phone at whatever level you set the phone at, and then reset the level to be that orientation. It will then assume that whatever incline or decline you put it on is the phone's level. And so from then on, any change in level, even bringing it to natural level, will show a difference in the original level. So with that premise, the same premise that we have here, using the physics of gyroscopes, of course in a phone they're slightly different, but it works on the same principle. Again, you have the argument that down is only towards the center of a spherical Earth. That's not true, because you can set spirit level in a phone to be whatever level you want it to be to start with, and from then on any other change will register. And so no, level is not determined by gravity, it is determined by wherever you begin spinning up the gyro and determining the level from there on.
This is a wild misunderstanding of how that phone app works. While most phones do have a version of a gyroscope inside of them, look them up, it's pretty cool, this app uses the accelerometers of your device to determine level. Now these are the same sensors that your phone uses to determine its orientation. These three sensors determine acceleration in the X, Y, and Z axes. An accelerometer measures force applied to it, which includes gravity. So when your phone is flat and level, gravity is pulling it down, and that phone is only experiencing force in the Y direction. When your phone is tilted, gravity is still pulling in the same direction, but the reference orientation has changed. Now it is also impacting the X-axis and Z-axis. This is how the phone determines its orientation in relation to the ground. So even when he sets it for level and flies around the world, as long as his phone is in the same orientation to the Earth, it's not going to detect a change. You need to use a different tool, buddy. Probably should have brought a gyroscope. Anyway, that wraps up this debunk. I look forward to making more videos. Please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments which video I should tackle next. I've been baffled by reality, and stay safe out there.